All right, what's up, guys? We're gonna fire up some sit and goes here on Bet Online and talk about some strategy, talk about some play, and kind of see. Hopefully, through these recordings, I can see any errors that I'm making and possibly even help you out with any issues you're having with your sit and go strategy. So nothing really too exciting so far. Going to go ahead and limp the button with the 8-9 suited on the right hand side after a under the gun +1 limp. Hand plays well multi-way, so not going to ISO that. We get donked into after raising the button here, so we're definitely going to call. We'll just kind of see what the turn brings. It's going to get checked around here, and we have a really good enough hand just to go ahead and bet, just a little bit more than a half pot. Interesting here, we go ahead and get full potted on the turn. It's very early on, so probably best, even though we could be here enough, could be ahead here enough of the time, but probably best just to go ahead and let this hand go, and let's find a better spot here to play. So I do got two more sit and goes that are registering, and once those get registered, I'm going to fire those up and add those two here. So on the right-hand side, we have a $15, Turbo 6. On the left-hand side, we have a $30 Turbo 6. So going to go ahead and fold the King 5 of diamonds here. Pretty interesting limp on the button, and then an open on the small blind. So definitely hope this goes to showdown. I'd like to see what Check Me is really doing. He's been super aggressive so far, involved in almost every pot. So I really hope this gets to showdown so I can kind of see what's going on here. So we'll get this other sit and go lined up. It'll be really interesting to see what they bet here on the river. Got a 180 bet, which was a raise and a call, and so 8 deuce. So we a button limp with 8 deuce. Can't wait to make a note on that one. We can go ahead and call the 10 here at the bottom. Bottom right hand corner is a fast 9s, and the bottom left hand corner is a double or nothing, both $15. So we flop the nut flush draw. This plays great in these multi-way pots. However, it is early, so we're not looking to necessarily get it all in here, and on a probably a 35-40% draw if it's heads up. So prefer to get there first before putting too many chips into the pot. So it does get bet, and raised. This really feels like, what did he limp with here? It feels like 6s or 7s. My hand is too strong to fold. I don't think it's going to get re-raised behind me, so I'm actually going to go ahead and call here and take 2 to the face. I know now if I hit my heart on the turn, I'm probably getting it in and getting paid. My implied odds are really good. So as long as nothing too crazy happens behind me, and it didn't, and I'm in position. So we bricked here. Most likely we are going to get probably a full-size pot bet, and we'll have to fold. It's a half pot bet, so that's interesting. I don't know if an ace is good now. It could be. I think my hand again is still too strong to fold, and so we do get there on the river, which was a pretty fortunate spot. And I think even by jamming here, I probably still win enough of the time. So. Or get called enough of the time. So I'm going to go ahead and jam and see what he does. He folds. king nine of diamonds for that much of our chips. Just not strong enough there. We'll go ahead and give that one up. Really don't limp here, but it looks like we may have a family pot. Ace three is not very strong, but could make a good enough straight and make some two pairs. Obviously, trip threes. So, gonna go ahead and limp for 30. Okay, and there's our two pairs. So, how often here do we think people are limping in with ace jack or pocket jacks? Shouldn't be very often. So, our hand right now should definitely be really strong. The only thing we'll be fading is ace X's like ace 10, ace 9, ace 8, ace 7, ace 6. Um, get a nice lead out here from slide. And I'm actually going to go ahead and take this up just a little bit, just slightly more than a 3x raise in position. This does look pretty fishy a lot of times, and so we could get a spew out of slide with a lot of hands, like I said, the ace nines, ace 10. So all right, so on the 6 max here under the gun +1, this is actually good enough to go ahead and open for a 3x raise. 8-handed here, that's a fold. And even though that's a small min raise with queen 3, I'm fine with not getting involved there. So we flop middle pair against the two blinds. We have backdoor hearts. We have backdoor bad straights, meaning if we hit a deuce and a 5, a 6 will make a better straight. So still good enough to go ahead and bet this spot. Just a little more than half pot. Easy fold with the 9 deuce. And let's kind of see what happens. So a lot of guys here would well, I guess I got called in two spots. So this is where I struggle. I have no idea what he's just donking out a minimum bet for, right? So it feels something like maybe a gutter and a flush draw. I don't think it's often enough to going to be a jack. So let's see if we can shut slide out if he did happen to call with a 7. Let's just see if we can shut him out of this spot here by a pretty good pot size raise. This also, I like to bet and raise a lot because it makes me more comfortable of knowing where I stand in the hand. So he does call. I don't know how I feel about that 5. And the check on the river is even more bizarre. So it could be possible he floated with a ace jack, king jack, and just made some kind of weird, stupid play. So we're going to check back and just take our showdown. And so he had a 7. So just, I would have never thought to put that in his range. What a bizarre bet on the turn, with that 7, and then still calling the raise. So what I like about my raise with ace 4 there is we kind of merged where we are bluffing here based on him having a bad 7. We're bluffing. Maybe I should have followed through with a river bet, but we're bluffing here. So he folds out 7s, and then we're also getting value if he's calling with hands like ace 5 of clubs, ace 6 of clubs, which would have made a lot more sense to me. I mean, based on him betting a weird bet on the turn, but I've seen that more than I've seen, top pair that decides to, I don't know what he was doing, bluffing, I guess, or I don't know, but it worked. He got me to sort of value myself. So, but that was my thinking there is I'm sort of merging my range where I'm could be raising and getting called by worse, and I'm also bluffing and getting some sevens to fold, hopefully. So we'll go ahead and check the ace-8 offsuit. So again, he limped the button here. So let's see, I need to put limped. Let's make a note here. Let's check here. Limped. Actually just going to flat this. Limped button with 8-2 to off. Fold. I'm going to put in just a small raise here. Just need to color code this to something I can see. There we go. And what happened over here? We get 2 folds? Yeah, we got 2 folds. So those weird bet outs just really screw me up. So I don't know what their thinking is on those. But they really throw me off. So some of my hand analysis could be a little bizarre based on that, but we'll still give what we think they should be doing. So he limped, I checked, he donks out. It's early. I don't have any reason to really proceed with that hand. 5-10 of hearts, easy fold. Now the blinds got up to 25-50 with a 25 ante. So I'm actually going to go into min raise mode. And all that is really doing here, we're going to limp for 75 the small blind, assuming he limps. We're in a great price. So we'll go ahead and get in there. Flop a set, could win a big pot. But, we're trying to minimize our risk when people 3-bet jam, and things like that. If we open up for a smaller raise, and which the raise can still be effective, then we're not risking as many chips. And we can do that with more of our bluffs and all of our strong hands, of course. So get a weird spot here where I'd like to call a lot of times with 5s. I believe he was the original raiser, but we have a limper here, so we're going to ISO this limper with a 3x raise. Normally it'd be a min raise, but we're going to ISO with a 3x. I think we're just going to go ahead and fold. I think it's still just too early to be getting in high variance spots. And normally I'd want to make him bet twice, but he did bet into multiple people. And so I'm fine with just folding in that spot. So we get a check to us here. And we typically, when we get check to, we want to be betting every time. So we're going to go ahead and bet. We've got good backdoor diamond draw. We've got ace and the king. We probably have the best hand enough times. So just go ahead and bet there and usually get a fold in that spot, which is what we got. So I think this is interesting. I think, I could consider calling here a ton because I think you're going to run into a lot of hands that we probably beat. With that said, I'm going to think this one over here. I think it's really close. It definitely could be a mistake. I'm going to go for the 3-bet. Actually, it's still 15-30, so I'm actually just going to flat here. Yeah, I'm actually gonna call. So good. We made a good call here in a good race situation, and we held. So pretty strong call, and it worked out really good here. So we flopped 2 overs in a flush draw. So now is a better time to. I'm going to go ahead and check raise. He bet a full pot. Which is good for us. So just a little bit more. Well, actually, right at a 3x raise. I'm going to fold the 50. And this is a hand that we can raise, get it in. So with me raising, and if he decides to ship here, I'm calling 100% of the time. My hand's just way too strong to ever be looking to raise fold, obviously. So. Everybody folded to me. That's a spot where I'm just going to go ahead and min raise. So pretty fun win there with the 8s. Glad we made that call. And it's definitely a close spot with him just open shoving. But, a spot where 8s are probably good a lot of the time. I actually would have expected to see something a pair lower than 8s with just an open jam like that. But ace-jack makes sense too. So we have a min raise under the gun. We're still nine-handed. It's early. Ace 10 off. We probably could argue a three bet here. I would just do it. I'd rather do it later in stages. So I don't really want to do it this early on. So I'd much rather do it late in the sit and go or tournament. Um, and here we have a limp under the gun, so I'm really comfortable limping behind in the cutoff. Um, the button should be ISOing there quite a bit, two limpers with all of his pretty decent hands, but just decides to fold. And flopped another pretty good hand here. So I'm going to go ahead and raise this up just slightly more than 3x. 1,500 blinds. We can go ahead and limp the small blind here. We get called. Great turn card for us. So if he did get there with a straight or a better two pair, go ahead and check out here. We just have tons of outs. Just a little bit more than half pot here on the turn. Our hand can handle a check raise, but I don't know if it can call an all in. It's one of those tough spots where that 5 does hit him enough. I'm not worried about the king at all. I don't think the king ever hits him. But here's a spot on the river that I really like. Okay, so I want to get full value for my hand. And this is an easy bet fold situation because he's never getting it in or shouldn't be getting it in less than. With the blinds being bigger here, I'm just going to go ahead and fold. So here in check me, we've kind of gotten into it quite a bit. So I'm going to go ahead and min raise him in the small blind. But down here on this last hand, I want to get full value. And if I bet big enough river, if he ships on me, I know that my hand really can't be good. Although I don't think he hits ace king there, I think an ace 5 is very likely, and obviously the 8-9 gets in there enough too. So this covers my range really well on this flop. So I'm really comfortable betting just a little bit more than half on this flop and just kind of seeing what check me does on the turn. But this should hit my range more than his. His big blind calling range should be really wide. Well, based on his limp earlier too, he's also doing that with anything, obviously, because he's limping hands like 8 deuce. So he's min raised me, and I'm actually just going to give this spot up. Unfortunately, I don't want to fold here, but I probably could call with backdoor diamonds and a jack, but I'm just going to give this up. Yeah, see, I kind of had that feeling. I really wanted to float there and make him bet again. But that's okay. Sometimes it's okay to fold the best hand, and I think that's part of it. So this was a limped pot. He donks out for 45. I still got 2 behind me. I'm actually just going to let this hand go. So here's a spot where okay. So there's nothing I can bet where I don't have to call off Ballzilla. So it's not like I can bet 300 or 400 and then he goes all in. I'm going to have to call with my hand, backdoor clubs and opening straight draw. So I'm actually going to check back and kind of hope that I'd get there. And also now I'm in position to where if they do bet out like that right there, I can sort of decide what I want to do. I'm definitely going to call check me because he could be doing this with a 5. He could be doing this with spades and just complete air. He probably does have the best hand with king high or jack high or 10 high. But I've got enough spots here where, or we could always just get really lucky and hit the absolute nuts against him, which is what you want against players like this. So he's essentially put us all in. So I'm going to wait it out for a minute, and then I'm going to ship the rest of my chips and hopefully get called. I'm going to min raise down here because everybody folded to us in the small blind, and he does call. So that worked out really well. I really love my check back in that spot. And we can easily fold here. So we got to watch our hand over here. We're less than 10 big blinds. We definitely got to play, get involved quite a bit on this right-hand table. But I do like our spot on the upper left-hand table too. So we got a min raise under the gun and a call on the button. And with less than 10 big blinds, I'm actually going to just go ahead and roll the dice here. I'm going to shift the sixes. I can't flat. I really don't see how or why I could fold. I know I'm probably racing at best. This is only 256, so there's the race. And sometimes we hold up and sometimes we don't, and we didn't hold up on the race. That's part of it. And that's okay. You know, you're going to lose a ton of coin flips. It's just going to happen. It's definitely going to happen more than you want it to, but it's just part of the game. So he's going to try to survive as long as possible. I'm actually just going to go and chip into him. If he calls, I do have queen high, which is not very strong, but, you know, strong enough probably to go ahead and chip on him. And we do have a ton of chips, so we can fold that pretty easily. People really get caught up in those coin flip spots, and it's just it's absolutely just going to be a part of the game. You're going to get it in spots like that, and you're going to lose a lot, and you're going to win a lot, and it just I think it was 100% the right play based on my chip size. That was basically a min raise, so yeah, we can get away from that. We'll check here, even though this guy really I can bet a ton after this flop. He really doesn't want to lose with him being so short stacked. So if he does bet out, I do imagine he's got a pretty strong hand. But we're open-ended with Jack High, and so I'm really comfortable betting every time he checks here. Looks like everybody folded to me, so I'm going to go ahead and min open. And I'm actually just going to fold this spot. 3-8 of diamonds just not good enough. He will call with all his aces. Hopefully he's calling with all his kings. He may not, and most of his queens. So, you know, I don't mind if these two knock each other out or play with each other because I still have a commanding chip lead. Ace-10 will certainly be good enough to call either one of them. So I can go ahead and call that pretty comfortably. And hopefully we win a coin flip situation, and we did. So worked out really well there, and now we can play really aggressive against Steve. So I'm just going to go ahead and chip on him there. He's either calling or folding, so he calls with the tens. And we got really lucky. We ran really well, and we ran really well on this table, so which is a really big part of it. Got a 4x raise, it looks like over here. Going to go out of the way of that one. So bought in for 75, so we're already up at least $32 here. So we're for a total of 75 and all four sit and go. So nice little start here. So now we're free roll on the other two. So hopefully we can play really well in these here. So as you probably saw up here, ran really nice. Ran good with the eights. Everybody folded here, so I'm going to min open into veto, but ran good with the eights, ran good with the ace jack to tens, held with the ace 10 against the king 7. So we pretty much just won almost all of our all-ins, probably all the all-ins. And when you do that, you're going to win, more times than not. So, that's how we'd like every sit and go to go right there. So let's tile these up. There we go. So we've got the double or nothing, which we're sitting really good in chips. So I need 2 more people to get knocked out of the double or nothing, and then we're still quite a bit of people left here. Looks like 7 people still left, and the top 3 get paid on the right-hand side table. So let's just hope we continue to run good. Ooh. Hmm. All right, pick up ace queen in middle position. The blinds are 25-50. I think some people will argue to make a raise more than a min raise because of the ante, but I'm really comfortable just doing the min raise here. We'll go ahead and actually, we'll just fold here with the min raise. Everybody folded to me, so there's a min open spot right there. All right, and a pretty good dry board to go ahead and follow through with a little bit more than a half-size bet. Queen Jack under the gun. That's just a little bit too weak for me. I'm going to go ahead and let that spot go. All right. So we're getting a little low here on chips on the right-hand side table. Again, top three get paid, so I've got to be a little bit aggressive. You can't be scared to, increase your variance. The goal is to win first place, right? We're not trying to get into a min cash situation. Um, you know, I think there's plenty of people who are going to call with 10 jack in this spot, but I'm giving up, what, 11 or 12% of my chips doing that, and I'm just going to hit enough flops for it to make sense. So I'm just going to give it up. It doesn't. 10 jack doesn't play great against two other players either. It plays better heads up, and really even I could take a bad hand like 10 jack and I could three bet it out of the small blind. Probably just flatting the big blind, but could probably argue a three bet out of the big blind too, but not against two players there. So I can't remember how many times I've done this to him so far in this tournament, but I'm going to go ahead and min open. And if he fights back, I'm not so much calling it off because I have ace jack as much as this, if I've been doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Now this spot is really great and interesting because I can bet a little more than half pot, and if he ships on me, I can be pretty confident that he just has a 9 like every single time. I think he's going to flat all of his 6s. He's going to ship all of his 9s. And I actually think he got stubborn there with a hand like 7-8 or 5-8. Now, I could be dead wrong. So I'm going to turn my hand into a bluff catcher. So I'm actually going to check this, and I may call it off if he moves in right here. I don't want to move in. I don't like that bet at all. I just don't think he's doing that with a 9. It feels like a 6. And so I'm going to get away here. And I think I'm going to get away from it and wait for a better spot. Yeah, I'm going to get away from this spot here and just wait for something a little bit stronger. I'd love to talk more about that hand. That hand is really, 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 really interesting. I've got obviously the ace high flush removal, so we can remove ace 9 of diamonds. But like, what is he betting 250 with and leaving himself roughly 480? He's not doing that with a 9, right? So it really feels like a 6, but it could also be, like I said, the 7-8, 5-8, or 10-8, or 10-7 being played like a 6. Which would be a pretty good next level play. But I feel pretty good to get rid of it in that spot. got the ace-3 suited. We're way too short stacked with 13 big blinds, probably even 12 considering the ante. So we're just going to give it up to a 3x raise. Wait and see what happens here. So another 3x raise, and so we're going to give up the 6 deuce. I'm too short stacked to open here. I like opening a lot of times with these hands. They play really straightforward, but just too short stacked to do so. 3-4 diamonds again, just too weak. All right, so this is a double up here. I basically just want to keep him from getting out of the spots. I think most of these guys won't play back at me too much, and I haven't opened up under the gun very often, so I'm going to open up under the gun to see if I can kind of set that precedent now late that I'm going to be opening up under the gun. And we get the fold there. So again, fold around to me, queen 10. I'm going to go ahead and min open up. I want to keep that same pressure on the small blind. And, you know, twice now has been pretty tough on us, right? So he's firing it all in here, which is probably pretty light. And my hand's just too weak. I just gonna have to wait for a better spot here, so I'm gonna get away from it. But I want to continue that going. I'm gonna call here. This spot's gonna be really fun. I could have argued raising there, but typically I feel like I'm a better post-flop player and turn and river player than I am just 3-betting pre-flop. And so I'm not gonna let him just raise into me, call once, and then just fold to every flop. So I'm definitely calling off here with my ace high. And so assuming that he didn't hit a 10-10 or the 7, and he shipped on us, so you know, that's fine. That's obviously never a 10. It's never a 7. It's like a queen jack of clubs, a jack 9 of clubs, a jack 8 of clubs, 8, 6 of clubs, things like that. It's probably what that is. So we're fine to go ahead and fold. We do have an 8 removal there, but we'll go ahead and fold in that spot there. He could have just been silly too with like aces or kings, just like, oh, I'm not going to stand to have something crazy fall off on the river, so I'm just going to fold. And we're going to fold the jack 10 under the gun to an open limp. You know, I hate to play this way, but in this double up, we're kind of just fading this guy. You know, we're doing a good job of one of us raising pretty much every time, and this guy just folding, and so he's going to get eaten up by the blinds. And I normally never recommend playing this way, but this one's interesting because all 4 places that get in the money all get paid the same. So it doesn't do me any good, and it also doesn't hurt me if I, you know, come in as a super short stack. So this is a great spot here. This is going to be good if we can. If Kygor's got the best hand, it can hold up, and he doesn't. So, but pretty standard ship there. I can't blame him whatsoever for shipping in that spot. All right, so we min open under the gun earlier. This is where people make huge mistakes. We have to continue our min open with aces. We got to stay balanced. So we opened up earlier, I think, with what, queen 10 off maybe. So let's continue our min open. And we'll unfortunately, I have to fold the 10-4 on the right-hand side, unfortunately. And open under the gun, so we could go ahead and fold. This is interesting, though. I think I could take 4 deuce here. He's not looking to lose too many pots. We're both pretty even in chips. I think there's plenty of situations where I can 3-bet that. So veto here. We're really short stacked. This is good enough hand to go ahead and jam into him. It's for about a third of his chips. So he's going to be forced to call with pretty strong hands, unless he just decides to call with a weak hand, of course. And I can go ahead and min open right here on the button. Probably wondering, why don't you min open there and let him jam on you? Well, that hand just doesn't call. I'm too short stacked, and it's not going to be quite as good. If I'm going to do that, I might as well just ship in. I don't think he's shipping with worse than Queen 8. I don't think. I could be wrong. To my min open with that short of stack. So going to go ahead and min open again with the Ace King. All right, and here's the spot where if we hold up, which we won't, but tough spot there. I'm never folding that Ace King in that spot. Just happened to run into Kings, and we bubble. So again, completely part of it. It's Ace King is arguably the third best hand in poker, so folding that would be a huge mistake. So we just didn't happen to get there. So part of the game. All right, now we're down to 5-handed over here. We're the extreme short stack, and different from the other table where everybody makes the same amount of money. Only the top 3 get paid here, and it's all tiered. So we are going to have to be pretty aggressive with about 8 big blinds. We're going to have to get pretty aggressive here. Let's see, we got 5 times 15 ante is what, 75? So you got 300 chips per round. So that gives us actually about, what was that, 4 effective M. So going back to the hand with the Kings and the Ace King, those are spots where we just, and I'm just going to, usually I limp there for half the big blind, but just not going to work out with this chip stack. So, but back to the Ace King versus the Kings, people get so wrapped up there, like, well, I could have just called, or like I could have folded there because he did ship all in. So I could have folded and saved myself, and no, you just happen to run into the tip top of his range. So, because queens through deuces is all the same, essentially, with my Ace King. And he's doing that with a bunch of his aces and a select few of his kings. And he's possibly doing that with a couple of queens, like Queen Jack and Queen 10 suited. So, to go into that rabbit hole of somehow trying to talk yourself into, I could have played that hand differently. You couldn't have. It played itself. It is what it is. It's part of tournament poker. So we're desperate over here. We're real desperate. It's pretty much just time to ship, and there we go. It's a perfect hand to ship with. For that low amount of money, we should get called pretty much every time by one person, sometimes 2, looking to make a knockout. And so hopefully we run good and hold. And we did. So we're right back in the game now with 2,000 chips, and hopefully we can make a nice little run here. I'm real tempted to call this, but I am just going to let it go. It's just not quite strong enough. Probably Ace 9 suited or better, I'm probably calling it, but Ace 5 is not quite strong enough. And so the blinds now are pretty big. And with him being the chip leader, maybe in the short stack, he can really bully me a little bit more. I'm actually going to fold here. And I'm going to min open the button here and call it off. Good argument for shipping there and denying any equity, but I'm pretty comfortable to play the flop and play a short stack and sort of go from there. So really great flop. I don't have to ship in. I actually could get them to maybe even spew. So I'm actually going to bet pretty small here. There's nothing I'm really too worried about, and see if I can get one of them to jam on me here. But that's obviously a terrific flop for my hand. Yeah, so when you've got a board lock like I did, which to me that's pretty much a board lock based on them just calling. Now, if they 3-bet and for some reason I just flatted, and that's not really much of a board lock, but I had that board really well locked there. How often are they calling right there with deuces? Shouldn't be very often, but ace deuce maybe every now and then. But I don't ever want them to want to throw away a 10. So I want to make sure I get maximum value for my hand here. I also don't want them to throw away threes, fours, fives, sixes, sevens, eights, nines. I even want them to call off maybe with a king jack or king queen. I don't mind them calling a bet with that as well. So blinds are relatively big, especially based on chip stacks. So the opportunity to chip up is not quite what it used to be. Um, there's times where I'll take a hand like this under the gun and I'll min open. As you saw, I min open with aces earlier. Everybody folded. So it makes you think, well, if I can get everybody to fold with that min open, I should do it with any two under the gun. Um, and that's probably true. I guess I'm going to have to fold here. But with the blind so big, I feel like we're going to get shipped over the top just too much at this point. So queen seven of diamonds is good enough. Fortunately, I'll have to open fold, which I don't like doing. But based on Den flatting earlier and a session just flat or Sino just flatting, yeah. See, that's really unfortunate. But we're getting to this stage now where a lot of opens are going to get 3-bet jammed, and so that's okay. It's just barely not good enough to call. But I also can't just fold right there. I've got to chip up a little bit where I can. You can't sit here and play premium hands only this late in a sit and go. Okay, great time to pick up ace king. We're really short stacked. Unfortunately, the two big stacks folded and everybody folded. That's okay. You know, those spots with those big hands are so few that it's pretty tough when it doesn't work out. So I'm going to fold here. He should be making my life really difficult. I folded so far, which I hate because now if I open, it should be sending off red flags. The fact that he only had a few chips and Min raised his raise, I don't know how he's getting it in with ace eight right there, but he did, which was pretty bad in my opinion. And this is a tough spot, unfortunately. Short-handed fours are good enough. We're just going to get it in. Hopefully, we're flipping at best, and we've got bluff equity, or we got fold equity, so that's always good to have there. Even though it's a min raise and I'm closing off the action and getting a great price, this hand's too weak. My chip stack is too small, so I'm just going to go ahead and give that up there. That's just a horrible bet here. But they're playing pretty soft with each other. Um, this is good enough to go ahead and ship here, and you just got to live with the results. You're four-handed, king ten off, way less than 10 big blinds, probably more like seven big blinds. So, you just got to ship there and deal with the results. It's one of the tougher spots too, and again, be careful not to beat yourself up too much. You can go back and look at the overall sit and go, and maybe look at some spots that you could have played differently, where maybe we're not in this position four-handed. Um, but beating yourself up at this point, for getting it in right there with, and you lose, maybe you run into kings or something, you can't really beat yourself up too much for that. So I'm really not sure what he calls a raise in that spot there with that chip stack, and it's just letting him bet once and get away from it. Um, yeah, I have no idea. That probably could be like a low pocket pair, I guess, but probably not the best strategy. So, and like, here's a min raise, and I'm curious. I mean, I can't get involved, but he should be taking his equity here, right, and just can really play well against him. Like I said, and Mr. Den here should definitely be putting pressure on him, because he's just looking to get one of us out and then play more aggressive. And with the spotlight nines here, again, another walk. So those are tough spots. You get hands that you can finally get all in with, and you hope hold up, and you get zero action, and that's just part of it. Um, yeah, we've got to look to be chipping up, so I'm going to min raise here. Um, Pretty certain he was going to flats, but now this spot plays pretty good for me, because I can bet here and just easily get away from it, or hopefully just chip up there. So, you've got to find spots to chip up, as challenging as it can be sometimes. And now I can open two spots in a row. But you just got to find spots to chip up, even though, like I said, it can be really difficult. You're going to get three bet a ton. You're going to get shipped on a ton, but it's just got to be part of your strategy. So, got a paired board. This spot again should play really easy, and so it's just a bet, get away from it, and hopefully chip up. So we were very fortunate to chip up there. I would normally call here every time, but I'm out of position with a mediocre ace. Although it's shorthanded and I probably have the best hand a lot, I'd rather just get away from this spot. You could argue a three bet. You're increasing your variance tremendously by three betting. He ships it. You've got a call now. Um, yeah, I'd rather just get out of there. And then a lot of flops are just going to brick us, and um, those play really difficult. So I don't love this ship here, because he's really, when he does call, really and truly, assuming you didn't ship with aces or kings, he should have you beat. So unless you shipped with aces or kings. So there's the min raise. I've been waiting for that. A little bit of playback. No idea what ATK 2020 is doing. That was really bizarre to call that $200 min raise and then just get rid of your hand and leave yourself now with five big blinds. Very bizarre play. Yeah, I'm sure he's regretting that. That was a really bizarre play. When you got check raise there, it's sort of fit or fold. Either I'm getting in or I'm getting out. Um, So he should be opening really light here. I'm gonna call this spot here and take a look at a flop. Um, this hand is just too strong, and I think he's doing that a ton just to keep him in there or keep him from getting involved. And so that's the easy spot. I can just go ahead and fold. And I can very easily fold there. No need to min raise or even call. We're kind of just going to wait out the. This spot really sucks to pick up tens here. Um, but again, our goal is to win. So even if I get shipped on here, I'm probably going to go ahead and call and live with the results. Because our goal is not just to get into the money. So A6, perfect spot for us. So far we're holding, and we held. So um, I think some people there get really timid about that based on his chip stack, but I'm playing for the long run, and I'm happy to get it in there with what I think is probably going to be the best hand more times than not. All right, so go ahead and bet this spot here really comfortably. And I absolutely hate that when a guy just blinds out. So I haven't done this yet that I can recall. So I'm going to min raise here. Now that we're closer in chips, he's not looking to do anything real stupid. He knows I'm not looking to do anything real stupid. So he should give me, you know, more credit when I play hands. Um, and I've ran real good there with the tens to jump up into the chip lead. All right, so I'm fine opening up here. Probably even comfortable opening and calling off here. While I don't think I'm ahead of a lot of his range, I am ahead of enough of his range. And so we hold with the queen 10, and so now we're in the money. And um, yeah, if he ships there, I don't know that I can call that. I think I could just move on to the next hand. All right, perfect. So we've been min opening the whole time, so I'm not going to change that. That's part of staying balanced. Um, he's shipped on me, I think, 3 times now when I've min opened. Obviously, that hand is strong enough to do that, and we're fortunate enough again to hold. So, um, wow, really running hot here at the end. Really excited to get a min raise from him. Calls it off with the ace 10. Let's try to hold again. And we did. So another good win in a big sit and go. And so now we almost won about $100. So I think we won about 33, if I'm correct, on the other one. And we won profit here. But we got what? 107. We got 107 and 161. We bought in for 75. So almost $100 profit in about an hour's time. So really good stuff. Thanks everybody for watching. I hope you picked up some good stuff for your sit and go games. Hopefully, I learned some things as well, and I would love to listen to any comments that you guys have and to help me out with my strategy here moving forward.